Welcome back. We're at Sheffield Hallam University Sports Park for the Youdan Trophy, the inaugural Youdan Trophy. And Keith Hackett and Mark Halsey are with me. And Keith, you're the co-founder, as we mentioned earlier. People can actually watch the final of this at Bramall Lane on Friday, is that right?
Yes, entrance is free. Kick-off's 3 p.m. Turn up, they'll get it, or they can apply online and get a ticket. In for a good game of entertaining football, for sure.
And I think Rangers will be in the final, looking at what looking at some of the way they played. Yeah.
Now I'm going to turn attention. We talked about the offside rule. I'm going to talk about referees' awareness of gamesmanship and provocation, not against them, but between players. And what I want to do is start it by talking about James Tomkins sending off against Birkirkara in the Europa League last week. I don't know if you saw it. He grappled with a defender who I thought was all over him, and he basically just wrestled him to the floor. There was no striking, no punching, but he got a straight red. I mean, I know, Mark, you've seen it. What did you think? And you've seen it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the game. Yes, he did block off Tomkins. I mean, but the way Tomkins reacted was a little bit excessive. But having said that, looking at the referees, a level 3 on UEFA, put into, and they referee these games, these Europa League qualifiers, and for me, if you had an experienced referee in that situation, from the elite group, from the Champions League, for me, it would have been a yellow card to Tomkins, and it would have been a free kick to the Maltese side, yellow card to Tomkins, just get on with it. But like you say, it's about the awareness, because there was things going on during the game, and I don't think the referee was fully aware of what was going on.
If you're
and if his awareness is there on those situations, he nips that in the bud before the corner comes over. So, you're waiting, you're looking around, you've got a dead ball situation. As an experienced referee, you look and see what's going on. Oh, whistle, out of there, please, player. And you get in there, you talk to him, you separate it, and that issue doesn't happen.
It's not a red card. I mean, he may have issued a yellow for unsporting behaviour in a sense, but, one player adopting aggressive attitude. I don't think he was even aggressive. And Mark is right. I think that you have tiers of inexperience that evolved through the UEFA.
Well, he'd only done a handful of games in Europe, and also it's worth pointing out in recent weeks that was his 5th red card in 4 games.
Yeah, well, then somebody needs to sit alongside this particular referee and first of all should say calm down. The reality is that if he is taking that stance and is allowed to continue, then when if he ever gets the tougher games, then we'll not see a game. The art of refereeing is about proactive man management. You talk about interaction of players and awareness. Of course you're aware. First of all, if you've not prepared prior to a game, who are the players? What's likely to involve? Yeah. Who are the subs?
Who doesn't like who?
Who doesn't like who? Where's been to which club? And the tactical changes that take place, then you're never going to make it as a top-class referee. You have to be prepared. And again, there's a point at which when there is conflict, you either get in quick to prevent, or there's a point at which you can blow the whistle and take a much calmer approach, because sometimes the aggressive approach from a referee can actually inflame.
Right, it can, yeah.
But can you, with everything else you've got to do on the pitch, Mark, can you be aware of all the little things that are going on between players, a defender and a striker, or 2 midfielders?
Of course you can, yeah, because you're there, you're in the thick of it, and you are, and that's the job of a referee. That is one of the basic, match control, player management, player interaction, and awareness of what's going on around you.
But you've also got to understand that, the reason, when I started the PGMO management and kitted the guys out with communication kits, which are now used around the world at the senior level, part of that process was to involve the assistant referee more in actually being able to communicate to the referee, hey, number 4 is having one at number 8, have a quiet word. So sometimes I think we're seeing the younger inexperienced referees coming in with a shotgun approach rather than actually getting in at the base level and actually having a step process. We talk about a step process in refereeing, quiet word off the ball, more public, then a yellow, and then eventually a red, or even the interaction of a captain. Run alongside the captain and say, hey, he might have had a bad night with his wife last night, I don't know, but get him sorted. And so I think those sort of things are...
But Keith's absolutely right. I mean, when I refereed, you know, and you knew there was difficult games, there was players that were difficult to control, and you had to be at them all the time, talking to them, managing them all the time. And I used to say to my assistants, listen, 9 and 5 having a right ding-dong, behind my back, can you just make sure you got your eye on it and let me know what's going on? And they would feed me back the information. I'd just run up alongside, hey, cut it out, you two, otherwise I'll deal with you.
Let me give you a classic example. We had, in the time that Paul Gascoigne was at Spurs, we knew that when Paul was in the box as a sub, the longer it went on, like an elastic band, the more he got wound up.
Yeah.
And then what happened in those early stages was the first thing he'd do, he'd try to kick somebody just out of frustration, not out of real malice.
To make up for the 65 minutes he's been on the bench.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we evolved a process where, you know, okay, the board's up, we know it's coming on, referee moves towards the technical area, and we used to run alongside him and say, Paul, really disappointed, can't understand your manager for not playing you from minute 1, but listen, got family in the stand, come to watch you. It was all a bit of kidology.
It is, yeah.
But it helped to calm that process down and soften the approach.
He's absolutely spot on, because when Ronaldo used to come to England and he was notorious for going down to us, I remember refereeing a big game at Anfield, and I just went up to him and I just said to him, hey, don't be going down easy today, because if you do, you'll get absolutely nothing out of me today. And he knew, and he looked at me, he smiled. Did he go down easy? He did the first time. Did I give him a free kick? No, I didn't. He didn't do it again.
I can remember Franny Lee going down at Derby County and diving. It was a clear dive. I mean, he was the one player that did it a lot and was known. And the referee, I think it might have been John Yates. John Yates comes across, saunters across, and we're in shouting distance. I'm on the line. And I heard him say, Fanny, 9.9 for that one, son. Try and improve. It's a dive. And it's going to be a dive. And every time you go down, it's going to be a dive, whether you get fouled or not. Yeah. And away he went. So we didn't get that for the rest of the game.
I want to move on, and we're talking about the controversy of the CONCACAF Gold Cup semi-final between Panama and Mexico. It's a very, very feisty game, which was refereed by the MLS referee from America, Mark Geiger, very experienced referee. Yeah. But what occurred in that game was that he sent a player off in the first half, a Panama player. They then led the game, and then with a minute and a half to go, he gave a penalty for a foul on the edge of the 6-yard area for handball, which both of you feel was not a handball. The player fell on the ball, certainly not deliberate. He took no time in deciding that was a penalty. Mexico went on to win the game, but Panama since accused the officials of favouring Mexico, and it's forced CONCACAF and their president to then come out and say, and Geiger to admit that he did make mistakes in that game, and that forced the outcome, but these are mistakes that referees make. And I want to ask the question, should he be apologising in that situation publicly?
I think...
Should we see it more often?
Well, I think, first of all, the important aspect when you're at the very top level, and this is a top-level game, I mean, I wouldn't even question Mark Geiger's integrity. He is a world-class referee. He's not just an MLS referee, he's world-class. World Cup, and he had a great World Cup last time round. But you know, every referee is faced with challenges that are new sometimes. And I think that here is a challenge to him where the more experienced referee, and we all learn through error, is that we remain calm. And when we're giving a penalty, and we've seen this in the Premier League, we've remarked about it in the Premier League, where we've seen, Van Persie was a classic last year, where he was given a yellow card for alleged simulation diving, when it was an absolute nailed-on penalty. The referee then, like Mark last night, didn't sort of just wait. You know, the communication kit, what's your view? You know, give me 1, 2, 3, the player's down. And the reality is, one, it wasn't a free kick, and he'd no need to jump for the big decision. He had other options.
Because what it caused a 10-minute delay because there was various ruckuses around the edge of the pitch, and coaching staff and the officials, the fourth official and various CONCACAF officials were involved in that. So it clearly didn't help the situation.
No, it didn't. And I echo Keith's sentiments about Mark, because he is a world-class referee. He had a fantastic World Cup, and he's a top referee over in that CONCACAF area. And I just wonder, I mean, it'd been a difficult game. It's a difficult game, and you're not going to get every big decision right in those, because there was lots of big decisions to be made in that game. And I just wondered if, you know, it got to him mentally, whether he suffered a bit of mental tiredness, mental fatigue because of what's gone on in the night. Remember, he's human, and I just wonder if he just switched off for those few seconds, because like offside, I mean, interpretation of handball, I think is one of the easiest laws to administer. You know, is it deliberate? Is it not deliberate? That's all you've got to ask yourself. And when I saw it straight away, it's not a handball. And I just don't think, I think Mark's switched off. He's straight away, he's not giving himself any thinking time. I wouldn't expect any assistance from the assistant, because he's got a great view. He's in the ideal positioning, and I just think he's most probably switched off.
Just one word answers in a situation. I know it's hard to do that, but in a situation like that where it's caused the outcome of the game, and he admits he's made mistakes. Do you agree with referees coming out and saying, "Yep, I made a mistake"?
Not in a big tournament like that. I just think the authorities, which should come out, and I think they have, they've come out and they've said he's admitted he's made an error, and I think everyone's happy with that because they're human.
I have to leave it there, gents, because time has run out on us this week. We'll be back next week, and our focus of attention will be the Community Shield between Chelsea and Arsenal at Wembley. Referee for that game will be Anthony Taylor. My thanks to Keith and to Mark. We'll see you next time.